Hello there, I'm Black Bright News, and today's news is about if you're married to a British citizen, how long can you live in the UK, or how long must you live in the UK before you can apply for citizenship? So I'm going to get straight to the point. So one of the headlines doing the rounds says that the UK has explained how many years foreigners must live in Britain before applying for citizenship in 2026. This isn't announcing a new route to citizenship. It's simply restating the rules that have existed for many years for one particular group of people, those who are married to a British citizen. That's an important distinction because immigration headlines often create confusion by making long-standing rules sound like breaking news. So let's put this into perspective. If you are married to a British citizen, you can usually apply for British citizenship after living legally in the UK for at least 3 years, provided you already have indefinite leave to remain, settled status under the EU settlement scheme, or indefinite leave to enter. Those requirements have been part of the British nationality law for a long time. What has changed recently is that the government has been publishing updated guidance to help people understand the application process. That guidance has been reported by some media outlets as though it were a brand new immigration policy, when in fact it is more of a clarification than a change. Now, before anyone listening breathes a sigh of relief or starts celebrating, there's another side to this story that deserves equal attention. These rules only apply to people who are already eligible to apply for citizenship. They do not change the immigration journey that comes before it. For many migrants, getting to the point where they hold indefinite leave to remain is the longest, most expensive, and often most stressful part of the process. Depending on the visa route, many people spend 5 years and sometimes even longer building towards settlement before citizenship even becomes an option. So while the headline talks about 3 years, many people will actually have lived in Britain for 8 years or more before finally becoming British citizens. That's why context matters. Numbers on their own rarely tell the whole story. Another thing worth pointing out is that not everyone applying for British citizenship is married to a British citizen. If you are not married to a British citizen, the normal expectation is different. Most applications must have held indefinite leave to remain or settled status for at least 12 months before applying for citizenship, meaning the overall journey is usually longer. Again, none of that is new. These are long established nationality rules. So why do stories like this attract so much attention? Because immigration affects people's lives in deeply personal ways. Behind every application is a real person. Someone who has built a career here, raised children here, paid taxes here, volunteered in their community, perhaps cared for elderly relatives, and simply wants the security of knowing where they belong. Citizenship isn't just a passport. For many people, it represents stability. It means no longer worrying about renewing visas. It means having the right to vote in more elections, greater freedom to travel with a British passport, and the reassurance that the country they have made their home recognises them as one of its own. The emotional side of citizenship is something statistics never capture. At the same time, the government continues to face pressure over immigration. We know there are ongoing debates about reducing net migration, strengthening border controls, and reviewing legal migration routes. There have also been discussions about whether the pathway to settlement and citizenship should become longer in future. Those conversations are happening, but they are separate from this particular story. As things stand today, this article is not announcing a tougher citizenship system or a more generous one. It is explaining existing eligibility rules for a specific category of applicants. This is a useful reminder of why we should always look beyond the headline. Headlines are designed to grab attention. They often simplify complex legal rules into one sentence. Sometimes that sentence leaves out the very information people need in order to understand what is really happening. If you're someone who is living in the UK on a visa, or you have family members hoping to become British citizens, this story shouldn't cause unnecessary alarm or false hope. The key message is to understand which immigration route applies to your own personal circumstances, rather than assuming every headline applies to everyone. Immigration law is rarely one size fits all. The rules differ depending on whether you came to the UK through work, family, study, humanitarian protection, or another route entirely. So if there is one lesson from today's news item, it is this: always separate a new policy from a reminder of an existing one. This article falls firmly into the second category. The 3-year rule for spouses of British citizens has not just appeared in 2026. It is simply being explained again, and perhaps that is the bigger issue in itself. Immigration law is so complicated that even when nothing changes, many people are left wondering whether it has. That tells us there is still a real need for clear, accurate information that helps people understand their rights, their responsibilities, and the steps that lie ahead. Here at Black Bright News, that's exactly what we aim to do. Not simply repeat the headlines, but put them into context so that you can understand what they really mean for real people living real lives. People like you and people like people you know. So I hope this video is useful for someone. And if it's not pertinent for you, you can share it with people who you believe it might have some relevance for. And that's all for now. I'm Black Bright News, over and out. Bye-bye.